Welcome, geometry students, to the homework help video class. Go ahead and open your books to page 132. Have your homework out, have your pencils, calculators, book, and notes ready. And use this video to either help you work the problems out or use this video to help you check your answers, whatever you choose to do. But definitely feel free to use this video to help you with your homework. That's what it's here for, okay? So here we go, page 132, 9 through 12, 16 through 18, 19 through 37 odd, skipping number 25. Okay, if you'll look in your book, we're going to start off with numbers 9 through 12. Numbers 9 through 12, and here's the diagram they give you. And let's go ahead and take a look at what the directions say. What postulate or theorem justifies the statement? Now, I know you're saying, well, we didn't really learn these as postulates or theorems, and I understand that. However, you can still write out an abbreviation of what principle we're talking about. For example, number 9. Number 9 says angle 10 is congruent to angle 15. That's number 9. Okay? Let's take a look at angle 10. Here's angle 10. Here's angle 15. Well, they're both on the exterior. They're both on opposite sides of the transversal. So I would simply say, how do I know 10 is congruent to 15? Alternate, exterior. See how easy this is? Angles, congruent. That's all you got to write. That's it. Alternate, exterior angles are congruent. All right, let's take a look now at number 10. Number 10 says angle 12 is congruent to angle 13. So angle 12 congruent to angle 13. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our angles. Here's 12 and here's 13. Now, they're both on the interior, so they're interior angles, and they're on different sides of the transversal, so they're alternate. So you would simply write alternate, interior angles. Alternate interior angles congruent. Okay? All right. Number 11. Number 11 states angle 11 and 13 equal 180. So the measure of 11 plus the measure of 13 equals 180. Well, let's see where 11 is right here. Let's see where 13 is. Oh, these are same side interior angles or consecutive interior angles. So we have a theorem that says consecutive interior angles are supplementary. That's all you got to write. You're just telling me how you knew that. And then question number 12 is angle 9 is congruent to angle 13. Angle 9 is congruent to angle 13. Well, let's see. Let's choose a different color here. Here's 9 in black. Here's 13 in black. Now let's think this through for a second, okay? Let's see if we can't figure this out. My computer's freezing up. There we go. Now, notice that 9 is above the parallel line and 13 is above the parallel line. And notice they're both on the same side of the transversal, the left side. When that happens, we call that corresponding angles. And the theorem you learned was corresponding angles. And again, my computer's freezing up, guys. I'm sorry about that. Corresponding angles are congruent. There we go. Numbers 9 through 12. I hope that helps. Let's take a look now at number 16. The directions for 16, 17, and 18 states to find the measure of the numbered angle. So we're going to find the measure of angle 1. So the measure of angle 1 equals blank. Now, notice this angle here, 110 degrees, is above the parallel line. 1 is above the parallel line, and they're both to the right of the transversal. We call those corresponding angles. So these two angles are corresponding angles, and we know that corresponding angles are congruent. So if this angle is 110, then the measure of angle 1 has to be 110 degrees because they are corresponding angles. All right, let's take a look now at number 17. Now, in number 17, we're trying to find the measure of angle 2. Notice that we do have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, and so we have an angle here. Notice both of these angles, this angle and this angle, are to the left of the transversal. They're on the same side, and notice they're both above the parallel lines. We call those two angles corresponding angles, and we learned that corresponding angles are congruent. So if I have a right angle here that's 90 degrees, then that means the measure of angle 2 also has to be 90 degrees. There we go. 90 degrees. All right, let's take a look at number 18. We're going to try to find the measure of angle 3. Now, Notice this angle here and this angle here are both to the right of the transversal. They're on the same side. Notice both angles are above the parallel lines. We call those two angles corresponding angles. And again, my computer is freezing up. That's why it's doing that. So we'll just ignore that and go on. And we know that corresponding angles are congruent. So if this angle is 50 degrees, then the measure of angle 3 also has to be 50 degrees. All right, that's numbers 16 through 18. Now let's take a look at 19 through 37. Odd, of course, we're going to skip number 25. So here we go. Let's take a look now at number 19. The directions for 19 and 21 state find the measure of the numbered angle. Now notice I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Here's my two angles, this one and this one. Now notice they're both on the inside, so they're interior angles. Notice they're on different sides of the transversal. One's on the left and one's on the right, so we call that alternate. So we have alternate interior angles, and we learned today that they are congruent. So if this angle is 37 degrees, then the measure of angle 1 also has to be 37 degrees. Let's take a look at number 21. Same thing. I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Here are my two angles right here. And notice they're on the inside, so they're interior angles. And notice they're on different sides of the transversal, so they're alternate. Alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles are congruent. And so if this angle here is 94 degrees, then the measure of angle 3 also has to be 94 degrees. All right, let's take a look at number 23. The directions state this. Find the measure of angle ABC. So find the measure of angle ABC. Let's go ahead and find that angle up here so we know exactly where it is. I'm going to highlight it in green. Here's A, down to B, and then over to C. So when we say angle ABC, we're talking about this angle right here. All right. Now, I think it's always a smart thing to turn this thing around. Turn your books if you need to, guys, if that helps you. But I want these two parallel lines to be going left and right. There we go. Now, you see how much easier it makes that? Here's this angle way up here on the exterior. Here's this angle, 94 degrees on the exterior. Notice they're on different sides of the transversal, so they're alternate. We have alternate exterior angles. And we learned a principle about alternate exterior angles. They're congruent. So if this angle down here, if this angle is 94 degrees, then this angle up here must also be 94 degrees because they're alternate interior angles. Now we're skipping 25 going on to 27. The directions for 27 say find the measure of angles 1 and 2. Explain your reasoning. So let's find the measures of angles 1 and 2. Here we go. First of all, I notice that I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Next, I notice I have alternate interior angles. 82's on the interior, 1's on the interior, and notice they're on different sides of the transversal. Here's my transversal, and they're on different sides. So we call those alternate interior angles. And we learned that alternate interior angles are congruent. So the measure of angle 1 has to be congruent to this angle right here because they're alternate interior angles. So the measure of angle 1 equals 82 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and cross this 1 off right here, and I'm going to put 82 degrees. Now, I know something special about this angle here and this angle here. Notice they're both on the same side of the transversal. They're both on the right side of the transversal. And notice they're both below the parallel lines. Below this parallel line, below this parallel line. We call those types of angles corresponding angles. And we know that corresponding angles are congruent. So if this is 82 degrees right here, then the measure of angle 2 also has to be 82 degrees. 82. All right. Let's take a look at number 29. The directions for 29 and 31 both state find the measure of the numbered angle. Find the measure of the numbered angle. So in this problem here, I'm trying to find the measure of angle number 1. Now let's see if we can't turn this thing around a little bit. That might help. There we go. Get these two parallel lines going left to right. There we go. Boy, it sure helps a lot when we do that, doesn't it? Look at that. Look how these two angles are both on the inside. They're on the interior. And notice how they're both on the same side of the transversal, the left side. We call those consecutive interior angles, or the book calls it same side interior angles. And same side interior angles or consecutive interior angles are not congruent. They are not congruent. They are supplementary. So if this angle right here is 49 degrees, then I'm going to take 180 degrees and I'm going to subtract out 49 degrees. And if I do that correctly, I will get 131 degrees. So the measure of angle 1 right here has to be 131 degrees. When you take 131 plus 49, you will get 180 degrees. Okay, number 31. The directions for 31 says to find the measure of the numbered angle. And so let's go ahead and turn this thing so our parallel lines are running left to right. A little easier to see that way. And now, same thing. We have two angles. They're both on the interior, and they're both on the same side of the transversal, the right side. So we have consecutive interior angles, or the book calls it same side interior angles. And they are not congruent, they are supplementary. So my one angle is 104 degrees, so I'm going to take 180 and minus out or subtract out 104 degrees. And if I do that correctly, I will get 76 degrees for the measure of angle 3, 76 degrees. Now let's take a look at number 33. Now we're getting into some algebra mixed in with geometry here. Now, let's see if we can't find the value of y. For numbers 33 and 35, the directions say, or 33, let me go back to 33. 33 says find the value of y. And so that's what we're going to attempt to do here real quick. Let's group this thing together, turn this thing around. And look what we have, students. Look at this. We have an exterior angle, an exterior angle. Notice they're on different sides of the transversal. One's on the right, one's on the left. We have alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. And we learned today that alternate exterior angles are congruent. So 115 degrees does equal 5y. Divide both sides by 5, and you get 23 for y. 23 for y. Not too bad. Let's take a look at number 35. Let's go ahead and turn this just a little. On numbers 35 and 37, we're solving for the variable x. So let's get our parallel lines going left to right. There we go. And now let's see what we got. This angle here. Notice this angle here. And this, my computer's really messing up. Sorry, guys. Notice this angle here and this angle here. Notice they're both to the left of the transversal, so they're on the same side. And notice they're both above the parallel lines. This one is above a parallel line, this one is too. We call those angles corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are congruent. So I can take 5x minus 24, and I can set it equal to 91 because they're congruent. Now, bring the 24 over and make it a positive 24. When you do that, you will get 115 degrees. 115 degrees. And now divide by 5, and you will get 23. X equals 23. Last but not least, the final problem of the homework assignment, so way to hang in there. Number 37. I'm going to go ahead and turn this quickly. We're solving for x. And by the way, Mr. Harrod, how can I turn these in my book or turn these on a test or quiz? Well, you just turn your whole book. Twist your book or twist your whole test or quiz around until the two parallel lines are running left to right. Okay, now notice I have an exterior angle and an exterior angle. They're both on the outside of the two parallel lines. And notice how they're on different sides of the transversal. One's on the left side and one's on the right side. We call those types of angles alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. And we learned that they're always congruent. Alternate exterior angles are congruent when you have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. So I'm going to take 7 parentheses x minus 7 and set it equal to 126. Now let's solve this linear equation. We cannot simplify 126, but over here we can simplify. multiply your 7 through the parentheses. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 7 is negative 49. Now next we're going to add 49 to both sides, or bring the 49 over and make it positive. And you will get 175 when you add 49 to both sides. And now we're going to divide by 7 very quickly here, and we should get 25 for x. 7 goes into 175 25 times. All right? I hope this homework help video has been a help to you. Please continue to work hard, study, and if you need to call or email me, don't hesitate to do that.